URC round number 3 is in the bag, folks. Some big-name international players made their way back to club rugby this week. 3 teams got nilled: the Scarlets, the Dragons, and Zebre, and it was a pretty good week overall for the home sides, but again, not so good for the Scarlets. We'll go through the games pretty quick, and you guys can let us know your thoughts on how the teams are standing and who is in a good position after these 3 rounds. Clayton McMillan's Munster side managed to pip Edinburgh by a point, 20 points to 19. Did a full match review for this one if you haven't seen it, but it wasn't pretty. But the results are there, 3 from 3, but much changed to Munster side. They made a heap of changes from the week before. They somehow managed to win. Edinburgh, 4 yellow cards. Certainly didn't help their cause. They had heaps of possession, heaps of territory early, didn't Edinburgh, but they only went into the sheds with a 2-point lead of 12 points to 10. Copped more yellow cards in the second half. Milne, the big prop, got a couple of tries for Munster, which is always pleasing. Finn Wycherley got the one at the end to kind of get the bonus point and seal the deal. Andrew Smith got a nice one for the backs for Munster. Ashman, Vellacott and Graham's one was probably the nicest for Edinburgh from a cross kick, but yeah, Edinburgh was certainly in that game for large periods, and it's still early days for Clayton and his boys, and hopefully he's going to get some cohesion and chemistry and whatnot. But if they can still get wins when they're not firing, that is something encouraging for those lads. The second game was the Scarlets and the Stormers. I only caught up on the highlights for that one because that was on at the same time as Munster and Edinburgh, and it's a nilling. Bonus point win for the Stormers away from home, which is always pleasing because the South African teams at times are a bit less effective on the road. Evan Roos managed to get one. De Villiers got one, so 2 in the first half. Van Heerden and Van Bergen-Gomazulu got the bonus point, and then there was one through Khan at the death. A couple of yellow cards in the first half, a couple of yellow cards in the second, including one to Sasha Van Bergen-Gomazulu, so he's into a bit of everything. Back to his club, getting a try, getting a yellow card. Yeah, very, very involved, I guess, in the Stormers outing. But yeah, one thing you guys who watched the game in full will have to explain to me is what actually went down, because the stats, like Scarlets have got decent amount of possession, decent amount of broken tackles. The Stormers won a heap of turnovers, and they scored 34 points to nil. If you just read the stats, you wouldn't have thought that's the case, but Stormers getting a away win over the Scarlets is perhaps not shocking stuff, because the Stormers have started the campaign pretty well, and the Scarlets are still one of the teams who are kind of in the lower end of the table. I think they're actually last at the minute. Ospreys, though, flying the flag for the Welsh sides, 24-0 over Zebre in another one of the nillings. Zebre have been good value to start the season. I don't want to really get too negative on them. 2 wins from 2 to start the season. This is their first loss. It's not ideal to get a nilling. They had a few changes in their squad as well, but Ospreys, Thokana Singer, nice dummy for his one. That was great. Morgan Morse on a great couple of pop passes from the Ospreys guys. Got the second one, 14-0 at halftime. I do think they'll be a bit disappointed they didn't get a bonus point out of this one. It's 3 tries to nil, which under some other systems where you got to get 3 tries more than your opponent, that would have been a bonus point. But in the URC, it's 4 tries. They don't get it. They should have probably got one at the end, but they kind of fluffed their lines. So yeah, Ospreys, they dominate the possession, 65%. They dominate the defenders, beaten 34-12. Probably should have had another try. But so 24-0, take nothing away from them. Seemed to be a pretty good atmosphere at the ground, and it's a good win. So take that certainly all the way to the bank. Benetton and the Lions. Lions campaign's not going very well, but Benetton bounced back after a disappointing result last week to register themselves a win. Lewis Liner gets not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 tries. That's as many tries as the Edinburgh guys had yellow cards. But for an individual, it's a pretty bloody good effort. I mean, the Lions got the first points on the board through a penalty, but they lost Morne van der Berg early. on return from Springboks duty, which is kind of an unfortunate one for them. He was only kind of 10 minutes into the game. But yeah, the Benetton guys were really looking to play with some width, and it looked, I'll admit, it looked pretty sexy when they were getting it right. Rhino Smith got one. The Benetton backs combined for Liner to get his first. That's their second. They take the lead 10-3. There was one from the tight prop Ferrari, who's not a big-time try scorer, but he burrowed over from a pick and go from a meteorite to make it 17-3. So bang, bang, bang. It's the Benetton guys who really take the momentum out of the game. And the Lions, though, I felt like they'd missed the chance because they had one TMO'd for Angelo Davids just not putting it down after they'd done all the hard work to score, but it didn't really matter because CARvCON scored a minute later anyway, so it wasn't a big deal. I almost prefer the prop going over from a couple meters out, but ahead of steam up then the winger not failing to touch it down. So yeah, at least that kind of gets them a bit closer, 17 points to 10. But Liner gets the bonus point on his second try, 24-10, and then the tries continue. There's yellow cards in this one as well. Gajo gets a yellow card, but the Lions don't score any points. That's probably another kind of key bit of the game for them. Yonka gets one for the Lions, though, and Benetton, make no mistake, Liner gets his third, and he gets his fourth at the death as both sides have more yellow cards. So seemingly yellow cards galore in this one. But yeah, 41-15 is pretty emphatic. So the Lions, they need to get back home and start winning, because it's not been an ideal start to the season for them. Glasgow thumped the Dragons 49 points to 0. That's a big old hiding. It wasn't that bad at halftime. Halftime was 14-0, but 49-0 at full time. That is a second half riot. Stain gets one. Nice inside line from him. George Horn gets two. Both of them kind of support lines. One from a Gregor Brown offload, which was a thing of beauty, and one from a Stain line break in the second half. That one was also pretty sweet. Gregor Brown powered over. He provided the George Horn first one, so good from him. Hiddleston got the bonus one from them all. Dragons did have one chalked off. But yeah, after missing out on a win last week, the Dragons, where they pulled that draw out of it, that's a bit of a disappointing one. Johnny Matthews and penalty tries as well. Yeah, it's a heap of tries. So 14-0 to 49-0. Big turnaround. 61% possession. The Glasgow lads, 613 metres to 230. That's one where the stats tell you the scoreline without having to kind of look it up. So it's a bit of a different one from the Scarlet Stormers game. So the stats very, very emphatically for the Glasgow boys. So they bounce back as well. Leinster Sharks, we also did a full match review for this one as well. Leinster back at home. Again, some big gun players back, and they were too good for the Sharks. Pretty comfortably. The only thing in this one, Sharks scrum looks good. Sharks scrum still looks good. But a lot of other aspects of their game did not. And Leinster really got Harmon Osborne, Van der Fleer, Jimmy O'Brien, Deegan, McCarthy. All these guys got tries. The Sharks line-out started really struggling. It was 21-5 at halftime, and the one try the Sharks got was an intercept from Ethan Hooker, who's also back from international duty. Great try from him, like one-handed intercept, lightning speed. He blitzed everybody that was chasing him, but yeah, how many times did the Sharks really look like scoring tries? Like, they had a couple of attacking lineouts that got fluffed, but yeah, I feel like the Leinster guys are very, very good value for their win here, and that's despite them missing a whole raft of players as well. They panned to the stands where there were just loads of big-name international players sitting watching along. So, yep, it's a bonus point win. Defenders beaten 26-15, clean breaks 8-6, turnovers 1-6-3, run meters 5-23, 3-21. It's all Leinster. So, barring the scrum, pretty much all went their way, and they break their duck first two rounds with a very, very depleted squad. Couldn't get any wins down in South Africa, so they're underway. Cardiff and Connacht, that's a low-scoring one compared to some of the other games this week, and it's still that man Tom Bowen, who's on a hell of a try-scoring run. 2 tries from him this week, 1 early and 1 late, and he got the first one from a cross kick. He's got some bloody good footwork for a wee man, doesn't he? That kind of lower point of gravity, center of gravity, means he's able to kind of jink and jive. It's a really nice one from him, and he gets one from a loose Connacht pass at the end to kind of make it 14-3, because Connacht only had a penalty for the entire game until they scored through David O'Connor late to get the losing bonus point to get back within 7. So there is a kind of, something to take home from Connacht for that one. But that one seems to have been a really even game. I only saw the highlights of that one too. Like, defenders beaten 17-18 to Connacht. Clean breaks 6-7 to Connacht. Turnovers 1 was 8 by Cardiff, 7 by Connacht. So a lot of stats that just kind of almost went straight down the middle. But yeah, good on Cardiff. It's another Welsh win and seemingly a pretty decent crowd for that one. And then Ulster. Ulster over the Bulls. The Bulls still don't travel that well. They've got a new coach. But that's another time where they've not travelled particularly well. 28-7. Again, yellow cards in this one. I mean, McCloskey's first one was pretty nice. He was able to outpace, I think it was Van Staden, for their first try from kind of turnover ball. Doak with the hack through. That was really pleasing. And to be fair, the Bulls had a decent period of momentum early on. They'd gone to Clerk, had gone close. They'd had the Maul scrum go close, but they knocked it on pretty much in goal. So kind of a missed opportunity from them. Ulster take their first chance on 21 minutes. And yeah, Ulster ended up copying a yellow card. Multiple penalties conceded. But the Bulls just got that one try through Wilco Low during that yellow card period. That was it. That's their only try of the entire game. Doak hits a penalty during that yellow card period as well. I mean, he hits it into the post. But they had a chance to put points on the board. So it was not just the Bulls having it all their own way. Second half, the Bulls had a turn for a yellow card, and Ulster just went to town, man. 5-meter tap, phases, and try time through Augustus. That was their first during the yellow card. Second during the yellow card, when the Bulls had kind of a deliberate knock-on. Ulster go for touch, they maul it, try again. And the third during the yellow card, breaking tackles, offloads, cross kicks. That one was my favourite of the three. Izichukwu with the finish, 28 points to 7. Stockdale was very close to getting Ulster's 5th, but he was just kind of tackled short of the line. But yeah, 28 points to 7. Ulster, pretty good value for their win. They edged the possession, the territory. They got more run meters. They got more clean breaks, 6-1, but they did concede a ton of penalties. Hendo, heap of tackles from him, 16 tackles. Stockdale, 116 meters. De Klerk still looks dangerous. He beat 6 defenders, but yeah, not to be for the Bulls away from home. So your top 4, after 2 rounds, remembering there were a couple of games postponed last week, so some teams are still behind. Stormers, Munster, Glasgow, Cardiff. Cardiff is probably your surprise package team there in the top 4 thus far. Ulster, Bulls, Benetton, and Zebre. Zebre in the 8 is certainly, again, a surprise. But as I mentioned, they've been all right at the start of the season. And then there's Connacht, Leinster, who are away from the foot of the table now. The Ospreys and Edinburgh. And then, yeah, there's a bunch of winless teams, The Sharks, Dragons, Lions, Scarlets. Still, these teams still need to get underway. There are some big games upcoming in round 4. I am looking forward to Leinster, Munster. That's always a cracking one with a lot of bums on seats. And yeah, the Sharks back home to take on seemingly high-flying Ulster. That will be one to watch. Connacht are hosting the Bulls. How are the Bulls going? Galway will also be pretty interesting. There's a couple of, kind of derby matches. The Dragons are taking on Cardiff as well. There's those Scottish-Italian derby matches as well. But yeah, it's going to be pretty interesting times. Still some players to come back, like I mentioned. Some teams still on the road. But you guys let us know your thoughts. Who's looking in a good position? So far, I'm pretty pleased with Ulster. It seems to be improved from last year, which was not a very good season. Munster, as I said, I've got a lot of faith in Clayton McMillan. It doesn't seem to be there yet, but the results, can't argue with the results. You feel like Leinster is there. Players come back, will start steamrolling. But for the South African side, the Stormers looking all right. Bulls on the road still struggle. Lions are struggling. The Sharks, bit disjointed. But anyway, you guys let us know your thoughts. Take care, and I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.